Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaja giving class on the Samadhi Mandir here in Nadabwip on the 1st of April 2004.
We may know in the general sense, like when you have an embassy, it's actually considered that country within your country. You have no jurisdiction over there. It's actually their place. So the American embassy here is, for all intents and purposes, America. So within there, everything's done that way, their way. And their citizens can seek refuge there. If you want to go to America, you can go there and approach for a visa. So it's really a good analogy. Sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj said that that's what he was noted for, is his use of analogy, giving original, accessible concepts. Because we're told the classic reference to the concept of analogy, what is it called? Chandran Sakya Nyai, the logic of seeing the moon through the branches of a tree. It's like here sometime yesterday, when everyone was circumambulating, the child saw, where's the moon? And everyone is looking, and then, just like that example, you point to the branches of a particular tree, because the tree is near you and local. And then you say, see that tree? Yes. All right, you see the branch on the left-hand side? Yes. Follow that branch. See, right on the very end? The moon is there. Oh, yes, I see it. So, the example is not the truth or the proof. In that case, the tree is not what is to be revealed. Rather, the moon, through the agency of the use of the tree as a graphic illustration, something that is immediate and accessible to some more distant, something that may be, and this is its incredible power, is, in this case, I don't know the miles to kilometers conversion. And say it's 500,000 kilometers away, the moon, from the earth. I'm guessing it's 240,000 miles, according to NASA. Whatever it is. But to locate that object, the tree, which is 3 feet away, can be used to help us focus on that. This is the beauty, the grace, the mercy, if you will, of analogy. So it's very useful for us who live next to the tree. So it is an extension. But interestingly, Vaikuntha Prithiva Yari Sakala Chinmoy, Vaikuntha is constructed out of consciousness. It is a conscious construct, and not simply generic consciousness, which lies on its outskirts, but dedicating consciousness, devotion. This propels the development there. Dedicating substance. So, those souls who possess a particular type of dedication, they are extensions of that plane. And moving within this world, they make it accessible to us. At a time when there was a lot of discussion on Guru, for which there will always be, but we're talking particularly about initiating gurus and such. And Srila Guru Maharaj pointed out that really this is the function of Madhyam Adhikari. From that plane, it's most accessible. And he gave an example, and he said 3 types of gurus we can conceive. He said not 3 types of Vaishnavas here, but 3 types of gurus. He said one has 2 feet within the spiritual world, the land of dedication, and extends 1 here. So he has 1 there, has extended 1 here, and he's taking from here to there. By dint of his connection locally, people are imbibing that sort of divine substance. Similar sort of dedication is awakening in their heart. And that current, the whole movement of it, is drawing toward the domain that he is descended from. Said another that had recently achieved a connection there. So he's also got 1 foot here, 1 foot there, but in a sort of reverse. But he's also qualified to take from here to there. And then he said, a 3rd category we may conceive. And he said there's different ways depending upon the time, but once he said, 2 feet in the mud. Like that. To kind of underscore this clearly. He said, but his eyes are fixed on Vaikuntha. Brahmanishtam. So he's fixed, still he's fixed in that conception and saying, oh, let us go there. So he's in the progressive line of devotion. He's also told us we may conceive of Swarup Siddhi and Vastu Siddhi. Jive Swarupai Krishna Nitya Krishna Das. Jiva, by constitution, is eternally the slave of Krishna. That's our position. So, one who is qualified in that conception, Swarup Siddhi, but not yet posted in Leela, Vastu Siddhi, said from that position, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is told that deviation is still possible. How can we understand that? Just as someone may possess the qualifications to be a judge, but not yet be sitting in a court giving their opinions. So, Janma karma chame devam evam yo veti tattva chaktva deham punar janma naiti mam iti sorjana. It's indicated Vishwanath Chakrabarti and others that the Prapancha Leela is the first entrance point. So, those souls who are qualified, Gopi Janma Garbha, as Krishna's pastimes are going from universe to universe to universe to universe, they'll take birth from a Gopi in that plane and be introduced to the Leela there. But meanwhile, back on earth, there's, by dint of their presence, is a Vaikuntha Embassy. And depending upon the type of devotion they possess, is what they're an extension of and what they're giving entrance to. This is why the position of Guru is so exclusive.
So the entrance is never the same. Each Guru has one door.
Well, no, there's a line, right? This is Rupanuga Sampradaya. Rupa Raghunath. Rup Sanatan, the entrance to a particular plane. But that plane is broad and all-encompassing. Many possibilities are there. That there is some hierarchy of servitors. So it's not that each is taken to a different place. But what I mean to say, for example, Srila Guru Maharaj tells that Ramanuja discovered Vaikuntha. Exploring the realm of consciousness, he discovered Vaikuntha and revealed that to the world. And there's a line of descent from him. But in our Chaitanya Saraswat conception, Guru Maharaj is highlighting the conception of Mahaprabhu that's come down to Saraswati Thakur and his followers. Those who are following his particular line, which is exclusive dedication to the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, Sri Rupa Manjari. That's the plane he's representing. That's the type of devotional connection that's being extended. They are 100% servitors of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, always promoting her and not seeking self-promotion. So sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj told, having a passport is not enough. That means a generic connection with Krishna consciousness. Someone can show up at any country, their borders, and say, oh, I have a passport. That's not their concern. They expect that you have a passport, but they're going to look within that passport to see if you have a visa. If even you've made it there, they want to see somewhere locally you were given permission by their local agent. There are some people who, even after years and years and years of being in connection with the Krishna consciousness movement, have failed to offer themselves at the lotus feet of Guru or Vaishnava, seeking admittance, initiation. Srila Guru Maharaj told 3 types we can conceive. Guru Sevi, Guru Bhogi, Guru Tyagi. Guru Sevi, serving Guru. Guru Bhogi, enjoying the assets of Guru. Guru Tyagi, rejecting Guru. So, but all 3 have connection with Guru. Then he told, there's a 4th that is the worst. No necessity of Guru. Even in the cases mentioned before, 2, we find something undesirable, but connection with Guru is there. This other category, no need for Guru. So, this is the point. The local agent. So long before you get to that country, you will, out of necessity, have approached the embassy and by the local agents there, been examined and approved for admission into the country. So it is a perfect analogy. So here, moving in this plane, are those making that plane accessible. But some examination will be there. Sukha became the examiner of Parikshit, although Parikshit was an examiner by name. But it's that perfect that in the midst of so much disparity and difference of opinion, coming to Parikshit Maharaj, this is the way. Tapasya, dan, gyan, everyone according to what they can perceive when you're under the influence, how to navigate. But why take direction from men whose vision is impaired? So he is there in the midst of all this, but moving toward him is Sukadev. So in the midst of our life circumstances, so many voices pulling us. The Lord's agents are moving, if by divine will, grace, mercy, toward us to come and rescue us, really. And that's Sukadev. This is very beautiful. He says, Parinishthitopi nairgunye uttamasloka lilaya grihita cheta rajarse akyanam yaraditavan. He's the perfect mouthpiece for what Parikshit Maharaj needs to hear. That we need to understand. That when Krishna appears to us, before us, as Sri Guru, it's precisely, perfectly, divinely designed and destined for our inner necessity. So, when we were discussing nirguna, so he says, Parinishthitopi nirgunye. I was totally situated on the other side of the saguna plane. And that set him apart from everybody else. Because all the others, they're struggling to overcome this and saying, well, this is helpful, that's helpful, this will be good. But everyone knows, Sukadev, he was never under the influence from before his birth. So he had some outstanding qualifications that were recognized by everybody else. Oh, this is that Sukadev that we've heard about. Let's hear what he has to say. Because they know what they're suffering from in varying degrees. Not for a moment, not even remotely for him. And so when he says, Parinishthitopi nirguna, I was totally situated in the nirguna plane. No one has any doubts about that. So here's all this saguna qualified plane. He's in this nirguna plane. Means Brahmavad, basically. Right? Hasn't become qualified yet. It's nirguna. Right? It's the outskirts, but it's above here. So he's happily there. Right? Then he says, Grihita cheta rajarse. Parinishthitopi nirguna uttama shloka lilaya. Then these slokas, these conscious gems, hearing that, I heard about Krishna Lila. And that, I was unaware of that. I was in the nirguna plane above all these undesirable mundane qualities, but not knowing anything about the super qualified plane above that, just nirguna. But then I'm hearing this uttama shloka lilaya, and my consciousness is being captured and carried away into another plane that I didn't know exists previously, because I was in Brahma, nirguna, but not deep, on the surface of the nirguna world, where it appears without any sort of qualities. But then I started hearing all kinds of qualities, but they were unlike the qualities here that would drag you down to become involved in this plane. But my heart was being carried away into another domain, another dimension. Grihita Chetarajase. And he's going to say, what was that he heard that had this sort of influence upon him? Krishna Lila. So, what is it? Vikrididam Brajabadu Idam cha Vishnu Swadhandatonu Shanayadata Varnayedya. What type of faith is required to hear Krishna Lila? And specifically Krishna's pastime. Kam prati katayitam, we say, sam prati kova pratitim ayatu. Who will believe this? Who's qualified to hear it? And who will believe it? For various reasons, Sukadeva is very cautious in his presentation to this group. So those in the embassy, varying levels of, qualification, etc., but they may know the full wealth of their country and all its secrets, and may not. Vasaveti naveti va. But they're agents, providing connections, issuing visas for entrance. So, when Srila Gurudev was giving Harinam Maha Mantra, still to this day, he will say, I've been ordered by my Guru to distribute the seeds of Krishna Prem to sincere seekers. Bhakti Lata Bij. It's the conceptual seed, the Krishna conceptual seed, which is nourished by association and service. See, but entrance to this plane is different than we normally conceive of. Most typically in this world, someone wants to go somewhere to enjoy that place. It'll be beneficial to them to either visit there or establish some sort of residency and reap the benefits. But here, pranipatena, pariprajnena sevaya, pranipatena, tadviti pranipatena, pariprajnena sevaya, upadekshanti. So, the qualification for admittance there is the desire to offer oneself in service. And as we pointed out the other day, what is the offer? The finite offers itself to receive the infinite. It's easy to express in that way. Diksha kale bhaktakori atma samarpan. Otherwise, we're giving the appearance of initiation, the formalities, the ritual of it all. But we cannot sit before Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami here at his Viraha Milan Samadhi and ever entertain the idea that form will take precedence over substance. Vastu, Vastava Vastu, Shivadam Tapatrayam Mulanam. So we're making a feeble attempt to live in the conscious plane and the association of those Vaishnavas that shall elevate our consciousness, even imperceptibly. Perhaps it's written in Chaitanya Bhagavat that where there is a Maha Bhagavata, devotee of the first order, that you're talking about overlapping areas of radiance or divine mercy. It says something to the effect that the aura of their kripa and purifying radiance is something like 80,000 yojanas. So that's far beyond the earth. That means if one is upon the earth, the earth is covered. The earth is the center of the universe. Actually, it is a geocentric conception. Everything, if we can get the right perspective, we'll see actually the earth is in the center and everything's pivoting around that. Naimisharanya. But we have to stop conceiving things in terms of finite and making finite what-if forecasts, finite what-if projections. Still, we're buying into the same foolishness. That the old joke was, if you had given some monkeys typewriters, they would type the complete works of Shakespeare. Now it's, I guess, simians with supercomputers. If enough simians with supercomputers they can produce the entire Vedas. Stay away from these people. They write on the board, the sum total of the finite equals the infinite. They're in love with themselves, actually. Democracy. If enough asses bray in a particular way, then we'll accept that as the direction to proceed. Svavidvarahoshtra kurai. So one word from the Guru is told to outweigh, tip the scales. One word from the infinite. The infinite being broadcast into this domain via the agency of the inspiration of Guru Vaishnava. Human beings especially are meant to cultivate consciousness. We know that. That's not even a spiritual concept. Everybody knows. Why? Why do they know this intuitively? There's certain things we just sort of get intuitively. One of them is, as soon as possible, children should be educated. Of course, there are some people, they're obsessing, in the crib. They've got the alphabet there, and, hang little letters hanging. Got an alphabet sky for some child so that they can begin immediately. So it means intuitively they understand, this is just across the spectrum, that human beings are meant for some sort of inner culture. We get lost in our own jargon sometimes. This human form of life is meant for self-realization, says that in the manual. But they know that. Everybody knows that.
Question. You were talking about the Ramayana yesterday.
Yes.
I expressed that Guru Maharaj was attracted to the Ramayana conception before being introduced to Krishna consciousness. And that,
Yeah.
Ramayana is in the Vaikuntha area. It's a concept.
Yes.
In Vaikuntha, is there also a gradation, like a hierarchy?
Yes.
And
Right.
how does it work? Like Ramayana would be where sea doesn't. How would a person move between conceptions? How this passage goes like?
Yes. No, it's a very good question. See, from the beginning, in the Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, he says, Vedanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam. Actually, it's only one. This substance is one. But that's not the end of the story. Everyone's saying, close the book, let's go home now. It's all one. No, you think, and hold on a minute, and that one substance, now we're going to talk about what is that one substance. Brahma, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan. Brahma means this, Paramatma means that, as we told. All accommodating Brahma, larger than the largest, all permeating Paramatma, smaller than the smallest, permeating everything, and now Bhagavan. And Bhagavan, here, the central conception of attraction means, if we have to spell it out real simply, Krishna becomes, or Bhagavan, is attractive when accompanied by his potency. That's when he looks best. When his real beauty comes out, is with her by his side and interaction. And their interaction, their lila, their pastimes. So Bhagavan being used here, then now the Bhagavan conception is going to be given in gradation. We're told Vishnu Bhakti of Vaikuntha, right, with infinite variations on that theme. So we hear Sanatan Goswami and Sanatan Shiksha, Mahaprabhu is telling Sanatan Goswami all these different Vishnu forms, and you'll understand their names by the placement. But we can understand even in this world how, because we start thinking, well, gee, they all, how do you tell them apart? They all look identical. In this world, people superficially appear to be the same, but actually there's no people who are totally identical looking. And we can see shades of beauty, variation, attractiveness in them. So can we allow that, for him? That he can also have innumerable forms. There are variations on a particular theme of beauty with subtle shades and variation, with a little emphasis here and something being suppressed there or understated here and augmented there. Why not? But when he does that, it's an infinite array. So through those basically 4 quadruple expansion, then in the 64 Vishnu forms, they're giving you an idea how this expands and extends. And that's the Vaikuntha world. And Srila Guru Maharaj would say, and there we find 2.5 rasas. And this is what I want to say as a foundation for this first, that on the God theme, it's like money, currency. There's a world of currency. Right? There are dollars, euros, rupees, yen. They all are money. And locally, when you say money, it means, I need some rupees. It's understood. They're synonymous. But to think that's the extent of it, that it doesn't go beyond, or there's no other system of value anywhere else, is provincial and foolish. So there's a standard by which this plurality of currencies can be judged. And we'll find out, here's the location of dollar, this is the value, the assessed value of a euro, a rupee, a yen, etc. So when it comes to the God concept, people provincially think whatever is available locally and they've been raised on, that's it. But actually, there's also a standard by which God concepts can be measured, assessed as superior, inferior, and that standard is rasa. And rasa means, it's very difficult to translate out of Sanskrit, but we can say here, for the sake of this argument, loving intimacy, the intimacy of relationship, of loving relationship. So, in a general, broadest sense, really, truly, 99% of religious conceptions deal with Brahma. They may use words like mother, father, sister, brother. It's Brahma, it's Brahmabad at best, if not thoroughly coated with Mayavad. All their concepts vanish in Brahma in time. If you press their theologians deeper and deeper and deeper, it just starts sounding more and more like Brahma in time, when they get backed into a corner and all the mother, father, sister, son stuff starts dissolving in Brahma. But anyway, back to Vaikuntha. Now here, the variations of the theme there, 2.5 rasas. It means Shanta rasa, Dasya rasa, and Srila Guru Maharaj told, in terms of some really, I don't use the word old, but servitors who've been there a long time, in a world that's not under the influence of time, admittedly, but so we have some idea. They're a long time servitor, some semblance of friendship starts entering that relationship on some level. But then that's the spectrum of rasa within Vaikuntha. Jarje rasa hoy say sarvutam. When you're dealing with rasa, that actual substance, what can be better than this? So, when we read in the Bhagavatam the descriptions of Vaikuntha, they're utterly charming, seductive, filled with beauty. The descriptions of the terrain there, the lotuses, the palaces, the Vishnu forms. When Gopakumar is on the outskirts of Vaikuntha and he sees who appears to be Vishnu entering, he's giving his dandavats and offering prayers, and those devotees with their forearms, no, not me. I'm not him. Because they look like the Lord also. But he has that Srivatsa, is like, that's very hard to describe. In one place it's told it's like threads made out of jewels in front of a mirror of jewels. So he understood, I'll be on the lookout for that, to identify who is the Lord. And in the Sringaloka, they've got forms like him, and there's so much variegated position is there. Anyway, that Vaikuntha, when the heart's inner necessity to express itself in a particular way exceeds the lower hemisphere of Vaikuntha, it starts ascending toward Ayodhya.
Naturally, or it needs help from above always?
It's
once you're there, you still need someone from
yeah,
above.
it's always, it is Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hrit Saroja Ase Shrutekshita Pato Nanunata Pungsam. The devotee, it's a relationship. It's a growing, developing relationship that's reciprocal. So the devotee is feeling in a particular way, sacrificing in a particular way, expressing that Krishna is reciprocating. But Krishna as Vishnu, Krishna as Rama, Krishna and what? To Yeyatamam Prapadyante. This is the beauty of it. It's mystical. Because this is the general rule of thumb of spiritual transaction. Yeyatamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. They're surrendering themselves to me in a particular way, and I am reciprocating with that. And here we're talking about something pure, because Krishna makes some qualifications too. There's people who come to me for the wrong reason. I trick them. There are other people who are good-hearted, but ask me for something that I don't give it to them. Yasyaham anugranami harishe tadanam shanai. I make them, I put them in a situation where they can only take shelter of me. There are varied possibilities, but generally he's reciprocating according to their heart's flow. Right? But it's something that's growing and developing and dynamic. But it must be substantial. These have to be substantial feelings. Even in this world, people are suspicious of becoming involved prematurely, too quickly. So sometimes people want to dive into these concepts. In the words of Srila Guru Maharaj, he said, plodding in the mud of misunderstanding, thinking they are swimming in the divine waves of Radha Kund. And he went, ha ha ha. And that's to put it mildly. The finite is not going to embrace the infinite overnight. There's established ways and means for all that. But these experts in the spiritual science, especially Sambandha Gyanacharya Sanatana Goswami, he's showing really in detail, step-by-step gradation. And one of the things that tells us is this is not going to be overnight, or these steps may also not be eliminated. In the description of the growth of the Bhakti Lata Bij, it's also saying Parabhyoma Pai, how to achieve, before achieving the spiritual sky. Brahmanda Bede, something, Parabhyoma Pai. Brahmaloka Bede, Parabhyoma Pai. That you'll have, the creeper grows, penetrates all the layers. What are those layers? It's misconception. This is the world of anartha, misconceived self-interest. Although arpita paschad kriyeta, That's why if what we're doing is not really, truly an offering to the other, to Krishna, through the agency of his devotee, then it's just method acting. It's air bhajan. We're making a show of devotion. So there has to be self-dissipation. Self-giving means self-dissipation, ego dissolution. What is it within us that cringes at the word slavery? So I think it was so perfect for Guru Maharaj to choose that word repeatedly. You could almost say, "Oh, Maharaj, don't say, say servant. Sounds better." But he's always telling. And if you even etymologically, if you look, the word das and dasi means slave, male slave, female slave, and that so irks humanists that they accuse the Gaudiya Math. It's just Gaudiya Math. It's all about slavery, which is the degradation of. This is what we've tried to, with our Enlightenment thinking, rescue people from, by offering them democracy, where they have their voice. The voice of the masses. The ass is mass. The mass is ass. The sum total of their brain will express direction. That's what we've offered them through Enlightenment thinking. So this is Gaudiya Math. They're preaching slavery. And Saraswati Thakur's answer was, he said, no, Gaudiya Math stands for the dignity of the human race. Krishna Das, Radha Dasi. This is how perverted we've become to conceive of intimate service to divinity as being something degrading. That is absurd. It's sick. We conceive of service as unworthy. When Mahatma Gandhi sent out word that he needed an assistant, all the biggest men of India volunteered for the job. Scientists, great thinkers, intellectuals, millionaires, everyone wanted to be Gandhi's assistant, servant, slave, anything to get his association. They thought, he is a man of such qualification. I just want to be around him, do anything for him. Hand him a glass of water, wash his clothes, turn on the fan, shut the window, open the door. You think, oh, well, Mahatma Gandhi is such a great... everyone can understand that. Oh, and God? What about God? So, in different places, the devotees who've accepted the most menial, objectionable service. That's why these examples are there. Ishvara Puri, Narottam Das Thakur, to show something really extreme, to push our buttons and underscore this point. They're doing what, materially speaking, is the most objectionable. Why? Because their conception of what they're in connection with, their estimation of that is so high that this is not objectionable, but desirable. Most desirable, not most objectionable. The expression there, a radical transformation. If ever one was called for and it's demanded of the Krishna conception. Sarvadharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja means a radical transformation, to break all connections with everything, including what we've conceived up to this point. From the very beginning, we like to hear Srila Prabhupada quote a sloka of Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. These devotees of Mahaprabhu are very intense in their expressions, which reveals the exclusiveness of their devotion and dedication. So, Prabodhananda Saraswati in the Chaitanya Chandramritam says, Dante nidaya trinakam parayor nipatya kritva chakaku tad satam brinimi he sadava sakala eva vihaya dura Chaitanya Chandra charane kurutanu ragan. What is his approach? He's saying to respectable, educated, literate, modern people, he's saying, you know so much. Actually, I mean, who can estimate the depths of what you know and understand and what your position is? I'm nothing by comparison. But I know that since you are such an exalted person, that I could ask one humble, small favor, a request, and you, being such an exalted, magnanimous soul, would surely grant me that. So I'm submitting this. I'm putting a straw between my teeth and falling at your feet with this one simple, humble request. And what is that? Forget everything that you know. Take all of it and throw it away. It's all yesterday. Leave it. Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanu Ragan. And kindly turn your attention to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And there you'll find inconceivable wealth. So that is my request, humbly. And it's still our request of ourselves. All this, what it is we think we know. What is that? It's the gathered experience, individual and collective experience of sense gathering. That's all. What we've been able to verify or collect individually or collectively as human beings, and the sum total of the history of human civilization. All of that has to be left behind. Whatever pull it has upon us, it's keeping us anchored to anartha, to misconception. So, only grihita cheta rajar se uttama shloka lilaya. Our consciousness being captured by the seed of faith planted in there can start pulling on out of this situation. And it's the only means for us to connect to that Vaikuntha world. It is real, it is substantial, but Shraddha Mayoyam Loka, it's a plane of faith. A faith signal is being broadcast into this domain. So many times Gurudev was saying, you have to make yourself a receiver. He told, above Vaikuntha, why is Ayodhya superior? Because there the Lord has the pastimes of being born, having a mother, a father, brothers. There's no birth of Vishnu and Lakshmi and Vaikuntha. So no mother, no father, those sort of pastimes are not there. So this is revealed in Ayodhya. So generally Guru Maharaj is telling the Vaikuntha world is the lower hemisphere of the spiritual domain. But now we're going deeper and higher into Ayodhya. And there is also conjugal seva, but it's restricted to Sita. Only she is qualified there for that type of seva. But interestingly, in different places, when Ramachandra visits Mithila or this place or that place, the Dandakaranya rishis, they're seeing his inconceivable, extraordinary beauty, and they're becoming imbued with Madhura rasa sentiments. And you see some gradation is taking place. But Ramachandra is telling him, no, this, like saying, I know how you feel. But, in this Leela, he is so exclusively dedicated to Sita that in her absence, when it came time for him to perform different sacrifices where the wife must be there with the husband, murtis of Sita were commissioned. But his beauty was so extraordinary that the murtis were becoming imbued with Madhura rasa sentiments. Sita's murtis were melting in his presence. And he even had to tell them, when I appear as Krishna, at that time this will all be adjusted and the full flow of that type of heart flow, that can be given vent at that time. So that service, which is limited to one in Ayodhya, when you go to Dwaraka, 16 Shaktis Krishna has, principle, and 1,000 extended variations on their beauty, personality, charm, sweetness, personified individually, not mere reflections, not that type of extension. So 16,108 queens, this is expanding from that point. Then once it appears to becoming more and more exclusive, it's deceptively simple. That is the Mathura Vrindavan conception. Chintamani's charanabhushanam angananam singara pushpa taravas taravasuranam Vrindavane Vrajadanam Nanukama Denu Vrindani Cheti Sukasindura Ho Vibhuti. What's happening in this sequence is all of the opulence of Vaikuntha and by extrapolation, the sweetness is becoming condensed. But the radical transformation necessary in our consciousness to accommodate this is do not be misled by the contraction to think that it's becoming smaller. But as it condenses and concentrates, it's becoming more extensive. And this is where our minds and intellects blow a fuse. Achintya kaluye baba natang starkena yojayet. This won't be grasped. Avan manasagocha, it won't be grasped intellectually or mentally or with a few books open before you and collecting something from here and adding that to this one and that one, and then your equation is going to produce the infinite. Like they showed that comic strip man Gary Larson, he had this, when they show Einstein at a blackboard, and there are all these letters from physics, and then at the end it says equals, and then you see a dollar sign. And it says Einstein discovers that time equals money. So it's not like that you're going to extract from here or there and then get an infinite product as a result. Krishna is repulsed by that sort of approach. Jnana Prayasamudapasana Mante. Even Brahma and his four heads couldn't accommodate a Prakrita Leela. It's deceptively simple. So in Charitamritam, Kaviraj Goswami said, Vrindavan, what is it, 32 kroshas? That world which is all accommodating, most extensive, he's presenting it in the terms of some sort of narrow confine. But it's not to be taken literally. That plain, Chintamani Charanabhushanam Angananam, the jewels that spring out of that soil, Chintamani, that are desire, wish-fulfilling touchstones. The gopis are wearing them as ornaments on the ankles of their lotus feet. So Krishna sent Uddhava from Dwaraka to give him exposure to higher voltage devotion. Like once Srila Guru Maharaj told people talking about Krishna Nam and chanting japa, chanting Krishna Nam. So Srila Guru Maharaj said, try to conceive when Srimati Radharani, when she takes Krishna Nam, when she invites Krishna name, what sort of voltage is within that Krishna Nam? If we can even have a remote glimpse of that by His grace, then our only conclusion would be to approach her nearest agents and offer ourselves in service. Say, I want to have a connection with that, so I'm approaching you because you're the nearest local agent who's representing that plane. What can I do? I want to offer myself in service. Diksha Kale Bhakta Kori Atma Samarpan. Otherwise, Diksha is a formulaic ritual. And you're saying, what does it mean to offer yourself? Today's Ekadashi. Srila Gurudev said once here that we're offering some of ourselves, our energy, to Krishna to consume. That's why you'll feel something. If you're observing any of these things properly, we'll feel some giving of the self, something there. When Srila Saraswati Thakur spoke on this once, first, because anything can be discussed from many points of view. Said, yes, the moon's in a particular position, it's increasing the flow of ras, and pleasure tendency is heightened. So by fasting, the balance is restored, senses are... One of my friends once made up a word, he said, quelmed. And we all got out, quelmed. Sort of a combination of quell and calm. Shakespeare made up a lot of words too. So that's the effect, externally. I think at the same time, mystically, Krishna's desire is greater at this time for rasa. Whatever in this world is a perverted reflection of the original, so even on this very subject. But what is pleasing to Krishna is seva. So the devotees at that time try to increase their seva. And in terms of to what level to observe fast, Srila Guru Maharaj's advice was to the degree that it does not incapacitate you or debilitate you for service. Is what is the point of fasting to the point of debilitation? That's not our line. And just for the sake of what we were discussing earlier, so you can see also the possibility of promotion within the plane of dedication from one position to another by inner necessity of the heart, substantially. So those Dandakaranya rishis, as when Mahaprabhu was jesting with Venkatabhata about Lakshmi Devi, Yadvancha Shri Lalanacharatavo, why does your Lakshmi Thakurani want to have rasa with my Krishna? First it's like, what are you saying? Are you hinting at impropriety? You know? Like, no, but I'm just, please explain. And he's saying, oh, Krishna's Rasa Raj, when she wants those type of pastimes, she's also going to Krishna. It's appropriate. Krishna, Vishnu, Siddhantically speaking, they're the same. But Krishna is highlighting this aspect. So she's making her approach there. No, but she's not given entrance into that plane. So right there we can stop and think, what are the qualifications to enter? If Lakshmi Devi herself cannot enter, then what are the qualifications of the souls who can enter that plane? Still, Mahaprabhu says, those Dandakaranya rishis, and according to Garga Sangita, ladies from Mithila and other places, they were given entrance. Bastu, Gopi Bab, Gopi Deho. The right mood and the corresponding form that personifies that mood and is qualified to move in that plane of devotion. What time is it? Just see the detachment of our devotees. Not one of them has a watch. Krishna